This week saw the release of the DJI Action 4, and it looks to be an absolutely fantastic looking action camera taking the fight to GoPro. And I'm going to be looking at this camera myself for Red Shark, and I'll be reviewing it and posting a video giving my thoughts on that particular camera. I'm going to be taking it to Norway and giving it a good workout on the white water out there, and hopefully won't lose it along the way. Anyway, I want to talk about the rumours that are going around about the GoPro HERO12 Black, which, given the release schedule that GoPro usually follow, will probably be announced around sort of September, possibly October time. Now, most reviews of the Osmo Action 4 have compared it to the HERO11, which is last year's model for GoPro, and so it possibly isn't too fair a comparison, but it's the only one that reviewers have to go on right now because that's what's available. But I'm seeing some, shall we say, interesting rumours going around about the potential features of the GoPro HERO12 Black, and I want to address some of those because I feel a lot of these rumours tend to be more of a wish list rather than factual. Now, despite the fact that we have purported images of the HERO12, I think we should take those with a ginormous pinch of salt. There are several reasons for this, which I'm going to go into. Now, every single year, it's rumoured that GoPro are going to put in a 1-inch sensor into the next model of camera. Now, I have a little bit of insider insight here. Now, it's possible that GoPro could be throwing me off the scent, but I attended a GoPro event in Colorado this year, and the subject of 1-inch sensors came up, and they pretty much confirmed what I suspected all along every single time I've seen these rumours in the past, and that is that 1-inch sensors are just not that suitable for an action camera like a GoPro. And the reason for this is quite simple. It's about your minimum focus depth. So if you have a 1-inch sensor, then you have a shallower depth of field. And if you've used the Insta360 with the 1RS with the 1-inch mod, you will know that you have to hold that camera away from you quite a bit, otherwise you're out of focus. An action camera needs to have relatively close focus because of the way in which it's mounted. Sometimes it is going to need to be able to get sharp footage fairly close to the camera, and indeed that's where wide angles work the best, getting things closer up. So I think we can probably throw the idea of the next GoPro having a 1-inch sensor into the bin, not to mention the fact that Sony, which has produced most of the recent GoPro sensors, doesn't have a sensor of the resolution or the frame rate required at that size anyway. Now, GoPro could go to a 4K sensor, but it's very unlikely that they'll release a new camera with less resolution than they had last year. Part of the appeal of the HERO11, despite the fact that the high resolution means that it's got perhaps poorer low light performance compared with the new Osmo Action 4, is that you can grab high resolution stills from your video. Not only can you take dedicated 27 megapixel stills off the bat in RAW, but you can also grab 24.7 megapixel still grabs off 5.3K video. And that makes it pretty useful for posting Instagram updates because you can take a very high resolution still from at any point during your video. The other thing is that GoPro is going into the 8:7 ratio in a big way, so you don't have to film your footage in either vertical or horizontal. You can film it in one aspect ratio and then choose whether you have vertical or horizontal framing after the event, which makes it pretty versatile if you're posting to different social media accounts and different kind of services. As far as I'm aware, there isn't a 1-inch sensor with that type of aspect ratio. Now, it's possible that they could go to a 1/2-inch sensor. Insta360 did this with the 1RS with the 4K boost mod, and that worked really well indeed and has really great performance. I was quite impressed by that. The only drawback with the 1RS is that it's not wide enough. Now, one of the things that I would really like to see GoPro do with the HERO12 is to equal the ultra wide angle of the DJI Action series, because the Action 3 and the Action 4, and in fact the Action 2, had absolutely beautiful ultra wide angle lenses that are wider than the GoPro, and they do it without the need to have dynamic stretch modes like super view or hyper view, which create an extreme amount of distortion. If GoPro could match the wide angle on the DJI Action series, I would be all over that. That would just be an amazing addition to the camera in my eyes. Now, the other question is, what can GoPro do regarding battery life? It's pretty clear that the Action series now has much better battery life than the Hero series. It's debatable what GoPro could do about this. One of the obvious solutions is a brand new processor. The GP2 will use the amount of power that a GP2 does, and perhaps they can optimize things in other ways. But the obvious way of having better power management and indeed thermal management would be a new chip. However, I'm not entirely sure that GoPro will do this. The GP2 has only been employed since the Hero 10, and so that's only 2 generations so far. It's likely that GoPro will want to get its use out of that chip with the Hero 12 as well. They could make another redesigned battery, that's possible. They could have a new form factor, a new external design of camera. It's got to be remembered that the current design, overall external design for the GoPro has been around since the Hero 9, and that's the longest period of time that GoPro was stuck with one particular design. Now, the internals have actually changed quite a bit, but the external design hasn't, and it's perhaps time, given GoPro's past history, that the next camera might have some sort of redesign going on. That could be a better LCD display on the back, or it could be the mounting system. Could GoPro have taken on board what the feedback that people have been given about the Action 2 and 3 series magnetic mounts? Could they go and perhaps make their own equivalent system? It has to be said that the current GoPro mounting system is getting a bit long in the tooth. And when you've experienced the magnetic mount system on the Action 3 and 4 and the 2 wasn't quite as robust, but the 3 and 4 really nailed it, then going back to the standard GoPro mounts is pretty difficult. I have to admit that I often become a bit lazy with getting different angles, and it's purely because I don't want to keep unscrewing and screwing on the camera to a different mount. I know GoPro has its own quick release buckle style mount, but it doesn't work on all mounts. You have, some mounts such as some of the selfie sticks and bicycle mounts, handlebar mounts, they don't accept that quick release buckle mount. You have to unscrew the camera and screw it onto the different mounts. So it would be really great to see GoPro use something like the magnetic mount or an equivalent system, an equivalent quick release system that's easy and fast to use. Now, another feature that I see bounded about is 4K at 240 frames per second. I will say right now that is not going to happen. It just isn't. However, Sony does have a new 1/1.9 inch sensor, and it will do 5K at what could be considered close enough to a 16:9 resolution at 120 frames per second. So it might be that GoPro bring out the Hero 12 with 120 frames per second in 5.3K modes. That's not a given. We don't know about problems with overheating and all that stuff, but that is probably a more realistic possibility. The same chip is also capable of shooting 4K at around 170 frames per second as well. So there might be a boost there as well. But, we'll have to wait and see. But I can tell you that 240 frames per second in 4K just isn't going to happen in any way, shape or form. So those are my thoughts regarding the GoPro Hero 12. I hope it's injected a little bit of reality into the discussion. I know that we all want to see 240 frames per second in 4K. We all want to see a larger sensor that can defy the laws of optical physics. But I'm afraid we're going to have to accept that there are some considerable limitations with bringing those to the fore in reality in an actual usable camera. So I hope you've enjoyed my insights into this. It's just a quick video because I've been seeing a lot of these rumors going around and a lot of people talking about them as if they're a realistic possibility. But I just wanted to kind of get across what I think might be realistic and what isn't. So anyway, if you like what I do, please like it and subscribe to my channel.